Hello everyone, Kenji Tiger here with Bengali Engineering and Play. We are back in The Last Caretaker, and we are continuing on basically on our Lazarus complex. Somewhat upgrade, somewhat do the human thing, and actually plumbing water up to the roof. So this particular episode is going to be really threefold. We're going to get water to the roof because it should be pretty easy to do. For those of you who have not strung stuff down, stringing it down, you can bungee cord. Stringing it up is just, it's kind of the same thing. So this might be a demonstration that you've never seen before on how to. So, for example, you see the electric cable that's going all the way up to the roof. Right now you can see by the light movement that it's actually bringing power down. So very likely it is daylight out there. So we're going to string water up, fresh water up. And the reason why is I want to build some of those little farming plots up on the roof. So the only way we can do that is to get water up there. As far as I know, the only way to get water up there is to literally haul it up this bulkhead. So that's what we're going to do. Water's over there in the corner because there's the food processing machine is over there. I do not know how to make soil, so I'm not sure exactly how to go about doing that particular portion of it. So I'm not really going to build the plots. All I want to do is really get the water up there and ready to go. Once it's out, plumbed onto the catwalk outside the building up there, then I'll do that at a later date, probably off camera. I'll set that portion up because I still really do need to learn how to make soil. I have no idea how to make soil. So it seems like if you've got 300 hours in the game, you should be able to figure out how to make soil. But I don't know how to do that. Okay, so we have our two humans here who are in fact ready to go. They pull them off, put them on the ship, and then we're going to deliver those to Exodus Station. You can see I've already got Exodus Station marked 7.5 kilometers away. The nice thing is once you get them into the machine the first time, which is to say the seeds have an hour lifespan. So you have to get them into these machines here at Lazarus Complex within an hour. That's not really hard to do. The downside from where, if you were watching the very first episode, one hell of an adventure. We went down to a seed reserve. I think it was seed reserve. Was what they were calling them. We were in really rough seas. The boat wonked out a couple times, went totally wonky. Thankfully, we more or less recovered. The only reason we did recover was because I was not on the ship. So otherwise I would have been killed and that would have been the end of that. But because I was in the water, we got to watch what the ship was doing, including going halfway to orbit, then underwater, then back, and then thankfully it recovered both times. But we did have a few other issues going on, like sharks, damn sharks. So, conveniently, I'm in the water, my boat is gone, I have absolutely nowhere I can go except to deal with sharks. So, sharks. I did survive that one, though. Yeah, so. Alright, so we got the two humans, they are completely done, so we literally are going to load them on. That's the last thing we do. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to run water to the roof. That's one. Number 2, we're going to repair what's up there. I'm going to swap out the wind turbines for solar, but I'm going to do that at a different time. There's no reason for you to endure that sort of thing. So that would be number 2, is just to repair the turbines that are on the roof. I think I have materials already sitting out there for that. So hopefully that'll be easy. And then, excuse me. Then number 3 will be to load up our dear humans here onto the boat, and off we go to Exodus Station. All right, so we got stuff. Laggy. Okay, we got all kinds of water hose, water cable, right? Water cable, right? We have enough to make 14 extenders, so that should be plenty, but who knows. And we won't talk about why there's poop in my inventory. Okay, the good news is we've got fresh water all the way over here because the food processor is over here. So I moved the food processor. So why is there a tank sitting way over here? That's because the food processor used to be directly in front of this guy. And then I was thinking, you know, that would work really well back here in the corner. So I did. And that didn't work out so well. All right, so here's what we're going to do first, which may or may not work out. So this is a ways over from the ladder. I'm going to use that to my advantage, I hope. So I'm going to go into the B menu, which is your build menu. And this is the water one, white for water. So we're going to go build. You can see that'll post right over there. That's right next to the ladder. Kind of hard to see because I'm at an angle. And then we're going to do E for fabricate. We're going to do a Q, which is going to actually turn off the next thing, and we're going to do a connect. And even though this is going to look really hideously ugly, we're going to go right over here and connect onto the water right there. Now, normally I don't like those, but the only other thing, you know what, we're gonna do it. So we're gonna grab this, we're gonna come over here, we're gonna do a fabricate, which is a left click. We're gonna turn that sideways enough that it looks reasonably neat. Do an E for fabricate, a Q to cancel continued. We're going to plug that one in there, which is going to be as out of the way as possible. Normally I would do this one. Maybe we will do that one. And then go into, because of course. Yeah, I don't know if that's really working well. Less wonky to come out and do it this way, but anyway. All right, so we dive onto the ladder. Now this is the water thing, and you can see we can actually face this. So I'm gonna climb up a few rungs. We're gonna look down, and you see the connect, and you see the thing that highlights, so that little roundy. So we're as close to the reticle as we can be. So we're going to do the connect E, which is going to connect our water hose, and then we're going to climb. Now, one of the things you see, so we're limited to 20 meters. So every hose, every cable can only be 20 meters long. Now, what I've done in a lot of cases is I go to whatever extreme I can and then end up there. So one of the things you see here is fabricate cable extender, left click, and we're going to go ahead and do that. And we're going to roll down enough so we can get a green, which is here, and then E for fabricate, and Q to cancel because we don't want to do another one. Now I'm going to go down a couple steps so I can get my reticle onto this, and I'm going to do E connect, which will take the hose and bring it up from there. Then we're going to go up a few rungs, we're going to look down, and we're going to do a connect, E for connect, and then on we go. So this is how you would scale a wall. So yes, indeed, you can connect things onto the bulkheads. So I have no idea what that one is doing. So we're at 12 meters. I'm going to continue. I don't know exactly how far we're going to go. 16, 17, 18, 19. I'm going to stop here just because. We're going to fabricate cable connector, which is a left click, and yes, it will barely. Okay, so E for fabricate, Q to cancel the next one. Ah, I was hoping it wouldn't do that. So the problem here, all right, so we're gonna have to go down. There's two potential solutions here. Go up a couple. Oh, because I'm, damn it. Okay, I'm gonna do a Q, which is gonna drop hold. So we will have to go back down and grab that. But what I'm gonna try and do is, okay, grab cable E. The idea is if I can pull this out far enough, then, alright, well, we'll cheat. Alright, so, the downside here is we have to replace this. So, connect. We will go on up the ladder. Now that this is actually fully resed in, then we can connect back on. So basically what we're doing here is connecting. So E for connect, F would connect to me, basically. Okay, and then we're going back down, unfortunately, because I disconnected all that stuff. We're going back down. So we just went past the water. So we're gonna look for the next water. We went zooming past that one. So we will reconnect. Did I really go all the way down? I thought I was. Oh, there it is. Alright, so I can point my reticle at it. I can see the whirly whirly. So you look at the electrical one there by comparison. So it's not always true, but usually, see, you can point and see that will be the one that connects. That's normally true. Sometimes you just have to look and see what's going on. So there's my water line. On up we go. We're going to connect to that one that's way up here at 19 meters. So we have a connect, so connect. Then we'll go up and then look down and connect. And on up we go. We should get pretty close to the top here with this one. Yep, we'll get all the way to the top. Alright, and then we can do the fabricate, and we'll put that pretty close to the ladder because I want to actually try and come off. Maybe we'll go a little bit higher. So fabricate, Q to cancel doing another one. We'll wait for that one to res in, and then we'll do E for connect, and we should be good. Alright, so we are at the top here. So what we want to do is jump off. So that's a back. Thankfully we got stuff. So up the ladder here in this case, so we will attach on very similarly, so we can see the reticle here even though we can't actually see anything, but you can see the whirly whirly is not going on the electric one. So your closest reticle is that one. So just to make it look symmetrical here, we're going to put another connector out here. So I'm going to come in sideways, and you have to get them just so we're going to come to this side, even though it's probably going to mess us up on the top. Q to cancel next one, connect in, and connect should be up there. So then we'll go up the stairs here, and we'll paste one right here at the top. So fabricate cable connector. We're probably in the way because of the cable itself, unfortunately. Alright, so we're going to step back onto there. We're going to put it on this side just to kind of get it out of our way. Q to cancel that next one. Connect. And then in this case, we do a connect again. We're going to go over, so we have a pass-through for this one. We do not have a pass-through for the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on this side of the door. The downside of this is once you get the cable through the door, you cannot close the door. So if there's any reason that you ever need to close the door, you really can't. So here's what I do. I'm not going to do the Q. So we're going to do E to connect. We're still, there's the cable thing. We're going to line this one up on this side and do a fabricate. And then we're going to do a Q, and here's what we got. So so once you're through the door, you can do a connect. Roll through the door and do a connect. So if we ever need to close the door, all we have to do is pull this one piece of cable. It's shorter than a meter, which is why you see it going a little sideways. So the shortest length is a meter. So it will put out a meter, and if it's closer than a meter between the two, it does this kind of laying off to the side thing. Alright, so effectively we have gotten it to the roof, so we kind of met that plan. What I am going to do is bring it right over to here. Hey, there's plastic. Okay, so fabricate. I'm going to pull this back just far enough for it to turn green. I'm hoping there's the green, or maybe we'll go through here just because. Alright, green, fabricate, Q to cancel, and then once it reses in, we'll connect. Okay, so now we have water to the roof, fresh water to the roof, and we'll see everything. So, angels. The angels will respawn every time you go away and come back. They will be back. So, for what that's worth. Alright, so solar panels on this side, you can see I've really got quite a bunch of them. There were 9 that ultimately I built. So there were the Lumi mids that were here when you first arrived, or when you first arrive, you'll have, I think you'll have like 6 of them. So I have already upgraded these. You will have cyclones on this side, and you can see I've already put in 9 of the typhoons. So again, the downside, let me pull out my repair tool. Here's the downside, and that is, oh, that is connected. So here we're at 70%. So I'm going to go ahead and repair all these. So that was my number 2 thing. Now you're seeing that there are 60 plastic, 51 iron, 81 copper, 90 fabric. Where the heck are those? They're not in my inventory, right? So I got nothing in my inventory, in fact. So as far as the parts, and I do need to go pick up that plastic just because. So where are these? Well, you may have noticed that box that I had on the roof, that balcony, there's another one right there. So that box, I just bring stuff, dump it into this box, and then that was my repair materials. The problem is, as you can see, these things degrade very, very quickly. So that's why these my intention will be to replace all 9 of these with 9 more Lumis, and I'm now out of silicon, which means surprise. Oh, also surprise. Alright, so I've got this one here I may or may not be able to do. Oh, I guess I did that one already. Okay, so I've just got the one in the corner there that needs silicon, and now this is empty. This, which is to say, does not have any silicon. So, turn that off. We're gonna grab this plastic, and then I'm hoping that you're either here and watching this series, or you're going to be here very shortly. So whatever the case, this is the building you want. It's what is different about this building. So you've got all these buildings here, and you've got the kind of, they look like huge air conditioning plants that are over here, and this. So this is the only building that looks like this. And that's important because when you're up here wondering what's the first building you need to go to, this is it. So this is the one you first bring the power into. So this is the one that's very common to all the different things. So you are literally bringing power to here. This is where you want your power. So this is where it is. Out of all the platforms I have been on, this one was arguably the most challenging because you are fighting initially with all kinds of enemies on the roof, and you have to fix everything on the roof. You don't have any materials, so you're collecting and scrapping. You don't have enough power to run this thing. It's a real challenge. So all that you see, these 4 batteries that you see in here, ultimately I scrapped some. I had just enough power that I can run this guy. I plugged into myself. And the downside is until you get power up here, the elevator that goes back down to the main floor does not work. So as you're coming up, you can trip the ladders. They have those foot switches that drop the ladder. So going down, you can get all the way down. It's just long and painful. So as you're running out of power, you can no longer scrap anything. You can actually plug yourself into the recycler or the fabricator and power it. Now it will run you down, but you can power things. That's just, because this is an input only device, you just plug it in and you're powering it. You don't have to select. Normally there's a little selector. Sometimes it's F. F is in Foxtrot, to change the power mode. Let's see if I can show you that. So here's the reticle, and there you go, switch mode. We're in equalize mode, but you also have input mode and output mode. Because this is a device that just consumes power, it's always on input up here, and it's relative. And what do I mean by that? So this up here you see is electricity input. Okay, so you cannot change the mode. It is an input only device. But over here you see this is set to output. So these are opposites always. So if you have this set as input, then the other end is going to be output, right? So, but in this case, it's an input only device. It's got a power consumer, so it is always going to be input power over here. So the reality is you can power this. You have to be very mindful because it will run you down really quickly. So it's like running the Eclipse. Is it Eclipse? Is it the Eclipse? Yeah, Eclipse. Yeah, it's like running this thing. This is also very power hungry, but it's not power hungry like this guy. So That will run you down really quickly. All right. Speaking of running down, let me go ahead and get powered in here. So we have 24 batteries below, and we have 4 batteries above. So I will spend a bit of time and get more batteries up here, and change all of the Typhoons out with Lumi Max. So that will be my plan. But that will be, I will do all that off camera, because there's just no need for you to endure that. So this is what's left of all of my parts and materials. So, oh wow, I have a lot of plastic up here. Wow, bunch of iron, bunch of copper. So I should have just, whoa, there's glass. Where the hell did I get all that glass? That's empty. Rubber and polymer, and quite a bit of aluminum. So not very much of those guys. So wow, 2 barrels. I wonder if I could. I'm brainstorming in my head to see, could I carry these 2 barrels down and leap into that little space? I don't know. All right, so we're up here. I'm gonna try. So we may actually work, or we may crash. Well, usually it crashes in the first couple seconds, so I have some faith. There it is. All right, awesome. So anyway, all of my stuff came into here. The reason I did that is because it's in proximity of the fabricator, so we can actually build a lot of stuff. So when I come up here and actually build all the Lumi Maxes, what I will do is during the day, so really kind of first thing in the morning kind of a thing. So the solars will have just taken over a majority of load. All the batteries are pretty much full at this point. So what I can do is basically take all the Typhoons offline, grind them down. That will give me parts. I'll repair them, because you actually, the less they are, the more degraded they are, the less parts you get back. So I don't know if it's equally cost effective to do the repair, because obviously the repair takes materials. So doing the repairs, then grinding them down, you get 100% of the parts back. And then some of those parts, the majority of those parts in fact, you will use for the Lumi Max. The biggest difference is you have blades on the Typhoon, whereas you need solar panel or solar cells for the Lumi Max. So basically you trade your blades in for the cells. There may be a couple of things. I don't think you need the mesh. Let's look just because. Okay, let's go, and we'll go into my build menu, because you can do that. B for build. All right, so the direct comparative here. So we click on Typhoon. So turbine blades, advanced alloy mesh, and this has, so you need the alloy frames, you need the logic chip, you need the connector ports. So turbine blades then directly translates into, so we'll do that. Yeah, so the mesh becomes the magnetic coil, and the blades become the solar cells. So the connection ports, although there are 2 on the Typhoon, so you only need 1, so you get that back. But you can reuse the logic chip, you reuse the 3 alloy frames, you swap out the mesh this guy here, for the magnetic coil. So on the plus side, you get to reuse a few materials. So the idea here is when you go in and do these, so I'm dismantling 9 of the Typhoons. So dismantling 9 of these. So I will get some stuff back, and then you go through, you build them all. You're not going to have all the parts for them, and then you come in and do right click, and you've got 4 options here. Add task, which is, it's going to do that anyway. Add missing parts. Add missing parts, because you have some parts, so you add missing parts, which will then create the solar cells and the magnetic coil. Then you take all the blades and all the mesh, run them through your recycler, get those materials back, and then you're using some of those materials to create your solar cells. So blades, plastic, iron, fabric, and plastic and glass. So you are not using all the same materials, but at least you're using plastic is the same. So anyway, so that's ultimately what we're going to be doing. So we're going to tear down all of the Typhoons. We will recycle what we don't need. That way we have the materials, and then we will build what we need of new parts by using right click, add missing parts to queue. Normally what I do is when I'm out there, I pull in all of the end connectors. So I've got a lot of extenders already out there, kind of in the format that, makes my OCD happy. And I can reuse all that. So I basically build a Lumimax at the same location where I had the Typhoon before. So as I'm revisiting all these different facilities, I'm basically going through, ripping out all the Typhoons or the wind generators and putting in solar. I'm adding, depends on how many, I try to add a battery per solar panel. In this case, because of its nature, it cannot have a power fail. Now, I don't know that absolutely to be true. What would happen if the power failed while the human was being generated? Most likely the devs have thought of that already, and the machine just goes into, a magic pause mode. So the human isn't just destroyed, even though probably in reality it would be. So however we justify that, there's enough of an internal battery to salvage everything, to kind of hold everything in a holding pattern long enough for power to be restored. I don't know. Whatever happens there. So I would guess that you're not going to inherently damage the human being developed by, having the power fail. But, there's, again, 24 batteries below on the main deck there, and 4 more up here. So with the 9 Lumimax that are already up here, I really would like to have 1 battery per Lumimax, which means I would put 18 batteries up here to match the 18 Lumimaxes that will be up here, because the 9 Typhoons will be replaced by 9 Lumimaxes, which really means, to make my OCD happy, I would need 18 batteries. And because 18 is not an even number, which is to say not a round number to some 10, then I would actually want to put 20 batteries up here somewhere. Now, I don't know that they will fit in this room per se. Get out of this. I've got some room. There's a lot of room on the overhead here. It's amazing where you can put batteries. Unfortunately, you cannot paste them over any of this. So, excuse me. So maybe you can paste them over here. I don't think there's enough room to paste them above the machine. Maybe, I might look at that, and there's not enough room here. So I may be able to get a couple over here, maybe put one over here. I don't think there's quite going to be room because of this. So I don't think I'm going to be able to fit 20 in this room, which is to say 16 more in this room. So might have to put them outside. I also have room over here because all the power goes into this room and out. Oh, sorry, over here, into this room and out. So I may have room over here that I can put, you know, two rows of. Technically, I could put 2 rows of 10 in here, and that would be my 20, and then I'll put those 4 batteries out. But anyway, okay, so that's what's going to happen eventually. Don't know where the sun's arc is. I think it's actually traveling from over here to over here, which means the solar's on this side. It would actually make more sense. Anyway, all right, so let's go onwards to our third project. So we've got our water up here, and we will figure out, I'll probably put those beds right down here. Very likely I will take this one and run it this way to meet that. So even though I was, you know, conservation of parts and pieces down there on the ground. So even though this was just conservation of length here, we'll probably go this way and connect over here because there's really no reason, you know, to come this way. This room does actually does not need to be powered anymore. So once you power up a beacon, it's done. It's got its own internal battery and it lasts pretty much forever. So it does not run down. So once you get power to it, that's the end. You charge it and that's it. So which is exactly why you see nothing going through this cable. So even though it's still connected over here, very likely, it's not actually drawing any power. So I could technically disconnect all this. What I'll do is probably plummet and come down the ramp, and then across to over here, because why not? That way I have this whole area open in the middle. I may actually move these to come up the ramp just to be quite a bit more out of the way, and then down the stairs to connect on over there. So rather than connecting on down here, connect on over here. So that would just get this electric line out of the main area here, and then leave this whole area to do whatever in farming that I would really like to do. Again, the hang up there is I have to learn how to do soil. I have no idea how to do soil. Okay, I'm gonna be a lazy bum, and I'm gonna call the elevator up here. I hope the elevator is coming up. Yep, I see it. Now I suppose if I really wanted to, I could build the tank to go up here, but again, that's stuff that I can build at the same time as I build the boxes, and I don't want to bore you guys to death. So the idea is that we will get over to Exodus Station and get the 2 humans into the capsule, which in fact will be the 3 humans. Okay, down we go. So there's 1 human over there because I usually do 4 at a time. Unfortunately, because of the adventure, we ended up losing 2 of the seeds. So we indeed took all 4 seeds to the surface, and that didn't end up working out real well. Mostly because of the strange behaviors of the boat. So oops, but thankfully recovered. Did not lose our game. There have been people who have either lost their game due to they didn't save. that would be my guess, is they just did not save regularly enough, and so in the end lost their game. Frustrating, absolutely. I mean, you can see I've sailed, 320 kilometers or something like that in that ship. And as you guys watched for your own eyes, there was some wonky stuff happening. You got to watch the ship do really crazy things twice. But in the end we recovered. So, but also in the end, as you could see, I was off the ship, so it didn't batter me around and kill me. So, that was the advantage. All right, so let's check to make sure. Got one plastic, so let's drop that off just because. I know I took that from my stash on the front of the ship, but all right. Let's put it here. Got a bunch of stuff here too. All right. Okay, water up. Yep. So I think really it's pick the humans up and carry them out. What I typically do is I carry all 4 of them to the elevator and then run down in a single trip. Okay, so the good news is these guys no longer have a timer. So once you get the seed over here, timer ends. And as far as I can tell, these now are their own cryogenic system, and they can go through an awful lot of abuse. So unfortunately we only did 2 of these. I was hoping to have all 4, but did not work out that way. I'm going to shut off my torch here because there's really no reason to be running it right now. Run to the elevator. Make sure the elevator's up. Yep. And then I'm going to set it down here in the center. So the biggest reason to set these in the centers, I don't know if it's realistic, but all of the elevators bounce a bit, and all of the tram ones that you'll see on the Exodus station, that's the only place I've seen those. Really cool, but they bounce around a lot. So things, typically they will fall over, which I never like seeing, because you could very easily, they roll off and plummet into the water, and then you have to figure out how to get them out of the water. And if it's, nighttime when you happen to be doing that, then getting them out of the water is going to be really problematic. Because slugs. So it's just the trick you can't see, but, walk the straight line. Alright, we've only got 2, unfortunately. Wish we had all 4, but nope. And we can go down. I have no idea. It looks like it's daylight still. Yep, almost midday based on the solar panels there. Okay, that was weird. Didn't want to pick it up. Alright, and we're going to put these in the forward deck house, even though arguably there's enough crap in the forward deck house that maybe we don't want to do that. These are unfortunately just heavy enough that you can't jump up there with them. So what I'm going to do is, or I can't, maybe just because I'm inept at gymnastics. That is entirely possible. Alright, trying to grab this guy. Alright, off we go. Or gal, I don't know. I don't know that they have genders. Or at least not that we can readily identify here. Okay, so I'm gonna put this over here on the deck and drop it. Hopefully it will stay upright. Okay, then I'm gonna get a running start and jump, and then we'll carry these, in fact, up here to the center. So normally I would think about, okay, these are humans, precious cargo, and we really want to take care of these, but there's not really anything that so the only thing that can damage these is the angels, and the angels are not inherently hostile. So the only time that the angels turn hostile, as far as I have been able to tell, is when you're fighting one of the big red or the big white rolly balls. Then they will join in, and suddenly you have to just kill everything. So the best way to do that is to take your sniper rifle and find shelter where they cannot hurt you, and start taking them out. If you're in a situation where you do that, here's a strategy for you to think about. Tactics. Count the number of angels before anything happens. So you know you're going to get into a conflict with them, so count them. And when the conflict starts, you're not going to be able to necessarily pick a single angel and take it down immediately. You may be able to. I was finding between 3 and 4 rods or luxes. They both have incredible stopping power. More 3 than 4 with the rods, but the rods are heavy. They're 1 kilogram each. So whether you can haul those in or not is good, maybe be problematic. So the luxes, which are half a kilogram each, you can have realistically twice the number there. So 3 rounds, 4 rounds each, and 5 angels means you're going to be 20-25 rounds by the time you're done. So that may be significant, maybe not significant. It just kind of depends on what you got. Okay, so this is the Lazarus complex. We pretty much saw everything. So that was the tour. So we're gonna go ahead and let loose here. So that's an E and a Q. E to grab and a Q to release. Now one of the things you notice, the ship uprights, but it does stay in place, and that's because we did that initial change in the anchors. So we're pretty much set. So these guys basically have no timer anymore, so you only had that hour timer when you had them in these same containers, the pods, as seeds. So you have an hour. I have not found an hour to be a problem unless you are ignoring the hour and just dawdling for the sake of dawdling. So, okay, pilot, we are anchored at this point. You can see we have Exodus Station already there. So we are going to put on a 10% and see what happens here. So I'm going to go hard left rudder, which will kick my stern out. I would really love bow thruster. That would be awesome. Okay, and once I'm out there a little ways, I'm gonna actually shift my rudder. What does shifting rudder mean? That means I go from whatever state I was in, on whatever side, it doesn't matter, and I go to the exact opposite side. So if I was right full rudder, which is 25 degrees, I would go to left full rudder. If you got the order to shift your rudder, then that's, you would literally shift your rudder from wherever it's at, on the left or the right, doesn't matter, wherever it's at, you shift it to the opposite side. So there you go, your naval terminology of the day. All right, so we are away from the pier enough, so I'm gonna go up to 40% here and get motion forward. So there are still a couple mines out here, but nothing that really are gonna cause problems. All right, we're gonna go right up to flank here. We're gonna go left rudder. We're gonna try and straddle, straighten out. We're gonna try to straddle these mines here. Now, so the little red spikes are actually the detonators. So if you touch one of those with your boat, it will blow up, it will cause damage, and damage you if you're anywhere close to it. So that's one of the reasons why I try to clear these out, but they do seem, for the most part, to respawn. So in a lot of places I've shot them and I've seen them come back. That may be a glitchy thing. I don't know. So there's two places where the game is the most laggy. So Lazarus Complex, because it is so big, will really be laggy. So you will notice a good FPS hit when you get to Lazarus. Even with a good machine, you're gonna see some hits. Eventually, I think when they optimize, then that's not going to be so much the case. But so game design being game design, I think what they've got is I don't know about that. So this is Unreal Engine, I think. So it's like how large is the game space that's actually loaded into the here and now. Now, obviously, the whole world is not loaded in simultaneously. So you have areas as you traverse. Most likely, it's every platform is its own little world space. So when you enter into the periphery of that world space, why is that turning? That was weird. Just all of a sudden veering to port. All right, so we've actually improved here. I can tell just by now it's a steady, 20 frames. I never get over 20 here, so it really struggled when I set it to 30 frames as a static. It would go to 29.99, and I don't know if it was actually doing it or not, but it was at least trying. But yeah, I could not find a graphics setting that would really get rid of that kind of barely underlying laggy. So it is what it is, I guess. Yeah, so right now, just cruising over, the GPU is running at about 70%. It's bouncing between 68 and 73. So depending on what it's drawing, I guess. And the CPU is running between 42 and 48%. So this particular CPU is a 6-core processor. back when 6 cores, so the 4 cores were the very common ones, and 6 cores, the hex cores they called it, were brand new on the market. So they were, for the Intel product, it was almost $200 more at the time for the 2 extra cores, which was pretty nice. Beacons there that we can see just slightly off the starboard bow, way in the distance there. So there are ultimately 3 beacons that you want to do. I think it's like beacon 12, beacon 35, I think, maybe 36, 32, maybe it's 32. I suppose we could look on the map, huh? It's going to take us a while to get there, so yeah, let's look at the map here. So the first beacon that you run across, so you start over here. So this is Sanctuary. So the first place that sends you here is beacon 49. It's pretty similar. You know, you have to do the leaps going up the stairs and end up on the top of the platform there. And as you go around the world, as you go around the world, you're ultimately going to get here to the Lazarus complex, which is a beacon. There is a beacon there. And from there, it's not really part of the main quest, but you have this beacon 32 down here. So it's kind of the same idea as you saw on beacon 49. Same damn thing. We'll leave that one out for just a sec. And then you go up here and you see beacon 15. So ultimately those are the 4 beacons that you're going to work with that are actually the beacons, the navigational beacons. The last listener station. So you are, after you launch your rocket, you are directed. So here's where we're going. You can see here's where we is, and here's where we're going. So that was navigation beacon 32 was the one I was pointing out there. So the Exodus station is on the other side of that. So it points you to the last listener. That's the last kind of quest line. And what that does is the listeners actually identify all of the seed reserves. So you end up there. You can't do anything here. You can clear most everything, but there's still a room you cannot get into until you have launched the first humans into space. Once you do that, then it unlocks the Moses authorization, and after that you can get into all of these. And the same thing is true with the seed repositories, the seed reserves. You cannot get into those until you have the Moses authorization. So, all right, back onto here. So one of the advantages of equalizing, so one of the things I had mentioned before is I've got 8 diesel tanks. So there's 2 diesel tanks forward port, 2 diesel tanks forward starboard, which is actually, you can, well, you can't see the port side ones, but you can see the starboard side that are actually feeding into the ship's port right there, which is to say the diesel connector right up there. And then there's the 4 in the back. So there you can see those there. So those are feeding in port and starboard connectors in the back on the stern. So you see on your speed display there, your speedometer, your multi-informational display shows your batteries, which is to say your ship's battery. It does not include any other batteries. That's one of the other discussions, is to say, hey, could we include all of the batteries that you've got cumulatively on your ship? And that may be something that would happen someday. Don't know, but maybe we're all hoping. But because we're on equalize, all of those tanks are running together. So you know when you get to 0, you're out everywhere. So even though I have so 2,000 liters times 9, so 18,000 liters, which actually isn't that much. So to give you a good idea, obviously the United States aircraft carriers do not have fuel on board for the ship, right? They're nuclear powered. But you do carry jet fuel. And to put it in perspective, there's over 1 million gallons, and I can't actually say how much is on there, but over 1 million gallons of jet fuel. Just jet fuel. That is also true of the large deck amphibs that do run oil-fired boilers, which has over 1 million gallons now. So we're talking imperial measurements, gallons of DFM, diesel fuel marine, which is kind of dirty diesel, not well-filtered diesel. So effectively diesel. So here's this Beacon 32. I think that's 32. So, and angels up there. So having a ship this size, this is a pretty good sized boat, have 2,000 liters is ridiculous. It really is. Yeah, that's like 400 gallons. I think I got my numbers right. So, oh, it's like 600 gallons, sorry. Because an imperial gallon, which is to say 4 liters, is like a gallon and a third, I think, gallon and a quarter, somewhere right around in there. So if we translated to imperial gallons, that would be 4 liters per imperial gallon would make 500 imperial gallons, which should be right around 600 US gallons. Wow, you can actually see all those Lumi lights are actually producing power now. There's a significant amount of power coming off the roof of the pilot house there. Kind of neat. Haven't seen that for a while. So I guess fixing all those things was a really good idea. So that was a beacon, or sorry, a buoy coming up. So unfortunately, when you're moving, they're spawning off your port bow or port quarter or starboard quarter. Port bow or starboard bow, sorry. So by the time you see it, it's like too late. All right, we're gonna back off to let's go to 70%. We're gonna turn a bit, come in at a little different angle here because I really want to come. Now, ideally, the reason it's called the port side is that's the side you want to dock to port. And the reason why is you've got the starboard bow anchor. So the starboard bow anchor here, if I moor to the starboard side, is kind of going to be in the dock. So it's kind of one of those, necessarily a good thing. So one of the things I did, this is Exodus Station. It's actually a really big station. So this is the other one that gets a little laggy. So it's not as bad as Lazarus Complex, but so there we just went laggy. So I think officially. That's where we enter the world space where this thing is. I don't notice it nearly as much on the other machine. So what I did do is plumb electricity and crude oil and petrol down that platform over there. So you see the one in the center, that brown. So that one actually has crude oil, so I can bring crude oil down. Run crude oil up. So if I put crude oil tanks on this ship, my boat here, then I could technically deliver crude oil to this place, and I'll show you why that is in a bit once we get up there. I'll kind of give you the tour. Come on, bring it around. See, normally at 10% back, I really would be doing quite a bit here. But it's not slowing down very fast. So we're just going to, normally you're not going to use your anchors to stop you. And even here, we're not stopping. I don't know why we're not stopping, but... Oh, because my anchors never dropped because of that little bouncy back and forth. Alright, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and run down the stairs. I'm going to grab my mooring cable. I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to leap across if I can. And we're going to plug that one in right here. Plug that one in. Leap onto my ladder. There it is, mooring cable, jump. And E to connect. And once you have both mooring cables across, it should kind of settle you in and pull you right up against the pier, and then eventually these guys, so you see this one's pretty straight, and then this one is angled forward. It should put tension kind of equally on both of these to the point where it will bring you pretty equidistant to those. Might be. So you always have more problems when you moor starboard side because that anchor in the front. That anchor in the front is actually getting in the way of a lot of stuff over here. So you can kind of see how the anchor chain is getting in the way. So anyway, problems. So once you are moored, like we said before, once you're moored up close to the pier, then we're going to drop anchor. And the reason for that is once you're as close as you are and you're stationary, your anchors go straight down. So we just come over here and drop anchors. So that'll let the anchors go all the way to the bottom, wherever the bottom actually is. Alright, and from here, pretty simple. We pick these up, leap off onto the pier, up the stairs So, for those who have not been here, there might be a whole lot of spoilers here. I'm going to drop this right. So, this looks kind of interesting. It looks very similar to something like this. This is going to be locked when you get here. The only way to open this door is, hey, one of these. Stick it right in here. There's a reason why you see these little cables going from here right up to the little locking panel. So it will not let you in to this space until you have one of these. Just put it in there and you'll be all good to go. And I was a moron and left the door open. The problem with leaving the door open is little critters will go in. Maybe a problem. Alright, I'm going to set this down right here because I want to check one more thing. Okay, stay upright. Yeah. So originally I was powering everything from the ship. So one of the things you see is I've got my shore power connectors and my diesel connector here. This one's the petrol over here. So this one here is diesel. I've got the same thing on the other side. Why did I put those in? Because I have no idea which side I'm going to dock on, and it's always nice to be able to take power from the ship where I have really plenty of power and power facilities if I need to do so. So when I built all of this stuff, I left it here. And I've done that pretty much everything in the ladder game. So initially I absolutely utterly cleared Sanctuary. There was nothing left. It all came onto the ship with me, and that was the initial, seed materials, right, for everything I needed to do. So I collected everything, and there it was. When I went back, so I was in some high seas and OCD building, things going sideways because of the rocking of the ship, and I could never get anything to pace down quite correctly the way I wanted it. So it was extremely frustrating. So it was like, okay, the heck with this. I'm going to go back to Sanctuary. So I was halfway across the map, and it's like, okay, I'm going to go back to Sanctuary and pull this thing in and use this as a dry dock. I'm gonna upgrade the ship. I'm going to do everything I want to do with the ship. I'm going to get my crates up onto the wall, up onto the bulkheads like I want it. I'm going to replace, all the gibberish. And so unfortunately what that also meant is I'm going to have to go back up to the roof and rebuild everything. Now, because I'd been to a bunch of different platforms already, I utterly cleared those too. So I have all that material. So I basically used all the materials that I needed to build all the... I think I put Lumimaxes up there, and I've never been back, so I do have Typhoons up there on the roof. So I really need to rip those down if I ever go back there. But what I did is I put diesel fuel capability, so I put a diesel generator there, a bunch of tanks, and then a bunch of tanks for petrol, and a petrol generator, and filled them all up. So basically, gathered enough, or had gathered rather enough enough poop materials to be able to run through those guys and fill all my tanks. So as far as I can tell, it works out. One organic makes 4 liters of diesel fuel, so it's actually pretty generous. And it's about 1/10 of that. So it seems like one to one. Maybe it's 2 to 1. So 2 organics to 1 thing of petrol. Not sure about that. I've never really looked and watched the counts and then compared and studied. So, but anyway, so this is my normal shore power connector. which is really probably to say boat power connector, because that's used to power everything here. But originally I had a wind generator here because I needed that constant power to keep this end running. And eventually I took the wind generators out and moved them up and used them on the main complex area, and then eventually came back and said, okay, I would really like power here, so I'm going to build Lumimaxes here, which I did. So the power to this section of the building is around this side, and what I also did is I didn't realize it at first, but there's actually a catwalk up here, so you can run power from here all the way to the center, and there is a catwalk on the other side, and I did not realize that. So I was telling somebody that I didn't know of a way because I didn't realize there was a catwalk here, but there is. So you can't really see it, but I actually have power running along there. So that's what this is, and you can see it's probably disconnected somewhere because there's nothing going through it, although there is power at that end, so that doesn't. So anyway, this is coming down from up here. So ultimately coming down from the top is how you had to do that. So ultimately power runs up to up there and then down the catwalk, and we'll see that once I get up there. So that is a buoy out there, so you could actually swim out to that as long as you had enough daylight and take the materials. So the buoys sink after you pull the materials out. So fun stuff. Good materials though. Actual materials. Not scrap. Alright, so we're gonna go into the elevator here, so we're gonna go through the door, and I suppose I needed to look and see if there's anything here. Let me put that down for just a sec. Nope, I don't see anything here. Alright. In we go to the elevator, through the door. Oh, bang. To the elevator. So one of the things you learn really quickly is just look everywhere. So one of the things you notice, this elevator doesn't go all the way down when you first get here. There might be a reason for that. So just be very observant. A lot of the hidden things are actually hidden right in front of thy face. So look around, be observant. Try not to miss anything. Because probably all of these little hidden spaces have at least one memory. Usually it's 2. Sometimes 3. Alright, up we go. Here's another tidbit. If this elevator, if the building is powered, the lights are on, but the elevator isn't, save your game, reload. As in, save your game, shut down completely, as in go completely out of the game, come back in. And probably it will work. Alright, so here's what I'm gonna do. It's gonna sound really weird, but I'm gonna put these on here. These will probably fall over, which is really frightening because they might fall into the water. So your children will fall. So I'm gonna put these. I wish they would lock down to these elevators and remain. Okay. Believe it or not, I'm not going to use the elevator. So what I want to do is see, this is the power coming up from below. Alright, so all the way up this ladder. Yeah, so let's start down here. Sorry. There is a test. There is a test that we can do. So connect. Okay, so we're good all the way down. Right, so that's our test. If we plug in and it lights up really well, then we know everything's good. Okay, so we're gonna do the call button on the other end. So what I really want to do is just to make sure, because pretty much every time I come to these facilities, these wires have pulled loose. Somewhere the wires have pulled loose. And it's really obvious when it happens. So so if we missed it, oh, so that's all good. All right, here we go. But here we go. So just randomly they come loose. And then put them back together, and now because you see this flash and go, you know it's now connected. So what that is really is the batteries are balancing, so now you see the current flow. So in this case, you know you're there. But it's just frustrating that they pull loose. So you kind of have to come and police everything again, which is frustrating. I don't know if that's a bug or if that's intentional. I don't know why they would just pull loose on a static platform like a catwalk here, but you know. So it maybe it's a bug. Maybe they will fix that eventually. I just find it a little bit frustrating. Okay, so now that we're here, this is of course the platform end where the rocket is. This rocket happens to be complete. Whenever I launch a rocket, I come back and refuel it. So it is literally ready to go. All I have to do is put these other two humans in it and launch. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Okay, so the two humans are of course on the other end of the platform, so we're going to do the call. Now the scary thing is that the bouncy that happens will likely tip those pods over, and there is the potential that they will roll off the platform and into the water. So I think it's moving. Yeah, it's moving. All right, so thankfully it is moving. You can see them shaking even. Yeah, it looks like they've both fallen down, but they're staying there. See, if they roll to the side, it's not a big deal because there's railings there. But if they tipped over right or left and then could roll sideways, they could go off one end or the other and into the proverbial drink. So alright, so what I'm going to do is go up the ramp here. Got power all the way up there. So the idea was that all of these are now interconnected. So I'm going to go over to this ramp. For those of you who have not been here yet, that this may or may not make sense. So here's the ramp that goes up to the platform, which will let me really easy access to the elevator that goes all the way to the top. Now, over here, I'm going to presume that you've all been here, so this is somewhat of a tour. So over here, there's pretty standard, like on a lot of the platforms you get to. There are several Lumimids and several cyclones that you can repair and then tap into and use as your primary power source for this platform. So I have converted everything over to Lumimax. I think there's 12 of them over here. No, there are 9 of them over here. Nope, I'm full of shit. There are 12. So 4 rows of 3 up here. So yeah, so 12 of them. Then, so keeping in mind that you have the rocket takes 60 kilowatts. So it will literally drain 10 batteries, 10 medium batteries. There is no large battery in the game yet. There's a large consumable battery, but not a large battery that is the counterpart equivalent to the medium battery. So that's a lot. That's 10 of those. So what I ended up doing is building, there's I think 2 pairs of 10. So here's a bank of batteries underneath. There's like 10 or I think there's 10 over there too, and then 10 here. Yeah. So did I screw up and it's 9? No, there are. Yeah. Sorry. I was counting and I was coming up with 4 on this side and 5 on the other side. Did I really do that? So 10 down here. There are 10 at the other end, and I think there are 10 here. Hopefully, if you folks are watching this one, you've actually been here already, so this is more of a tour than anything else. But I don't want to, be, too revealing here, too spoiler everything. So we're gonna go over here just because, and we'll see if we can crash the game from here. You can probably figure out what I mean by that. So here we have a healer, and we have this. So here we go. Let's see what happens. I think we made it. All right. Awesome. So this is your health and backup station over here. Upstairs is where you actually plumb in the power, which is over here. So this is where you put power to this part of the complex. All right, so you run it through the wall there like normal, and there are 6 batteries up here into here, and then your terminal and all that. So 6 batteries here. You could go up high. Let me turn on my torch. So you could put actually more up there, and you would have a little bit of problem up there. But with all of them that I ended up out there on the main deck, probably not a bunch of need for that. So down we go, out and around. Back over here, it's kind of inconvenient where they have the backup and health station, and as far as I know, it's the only one on this area of the compound, or this area of the complex. All right, let me grab the other human. You don't have a lot of problem with pests. Should we call them pests up here? So I built all these. So you've got your recycler here, you've got your fabricator here. All of the crap that was recycled from this particular facility is back here. So there's like 6 or 7 Fortaholds back here. I think 7. Yeah. So this one I think is cable. Yeah. So that's my diesel cable. So I did plumb diesel all this way, and the reason why is you don't use diesel here. I do use petrol here. So the idea was I need to have ways to, so the distillation tower, it's producing 10 times the amount of diesel that it is petrol. But petrol is what you need because you're running a small generator which generates CO2, which goes into the saboteur reactor, and then creates your methane, and in fact oxygen for you. But you need the CO2 to create methane. You can create the oxygen from water, fresh water, which you plumb into it, but you do need you need that carbon dioxide to create the methane portion of it. So you are using petrol, or in my case, I'm using petrol. That was my solution, was to, plumb in a generator, excuse me, to create my CO2, which burns petrol. So the idea was the distillation tower has to produce both. If you run your tanks full of diesel, it stops. Even if your tanks for petrol are not full. So you have to have a way to get rid of, to consume the diesel, so that petrol production continues. So why I have these 4 boxes here is this is the same thing. I create those small diesel tanks, and you can put 10 of them in each one of these and then easily carry this around. So basically you put those in, that's 100, which is the max capacity of this thing, and then haul it around. So it's basically the equivalent of one of those static tanks of diesel, or any of them really, but there it is. So that's the idea, is to, I had a methodology of putting the diesel into those storage tanks, the small tanks, and carrying it away. So I could use it on the boat. So that's what this line is, and then of course electric all the way over here. This is that electric. So basically the electric from the entrance area that comes up here and then interconnects in. So right now it's providing power back that way. So at least when you're seeing this minor flow, it's going that way. Okay, here's another battery bank. This was actually the original battery bank that I built over on this side. The idea was each one of these is 6 kilowatt hours, right? So between the 10 is 60 kilowatt hours, which is exactly what you needed in the rocket. So with these batteries alone, what was happening was I was draining those 6 batteries that are up front, where the power production area is, trying to power up the rocket. So basically I was exhausting myself and causing power problems on the facility here because I ran it all the way down. So the idea is that with these batteries just sitting here static, I have more than enough that when I plug the rocket in, it will go down to whatever it needs to, and I have plenty more capacity in battery storage than I do. So I will never affect, I'll never go dead, in other words, because I've got this battery bank over here, which is 60. I've got the other battery bank that's under the ramp on the other side, which is also 60. So Okay, so here is the saboteur reactor. So we have fresh water coming in here into that tank. We have the little generator here, which is running on petrol. So we're not using it for the generation of electricity, although it does. So we're really just plumbing off the CO2 over here, so small electric generator, which goes in the saboteur reactor. Fresh water into the saboteur reactor, and then out as methane and oxygen. So needless to say, the water's coming up from underneath. So fresh water over here to that. Over here is the petrol generator. So if I have extra stuff, these are the hoses, my spare hoses for over here. So this is the methane tank. The methane tank is 6,000. So I think I just stopped that. So normally I would run that up, but in this case, I think I just shut it off because the power switch was off there. So I just didn't let it get. So you need 3,000 liters in your rocket. So the idea was I have enough stored here that I can refill the rocket without running the saboteur reactor at all. So each one of these is 9,000. So I've got 18,000. I need 12,000 liters in the rocket. You can see over here I'm getting a little low on petrol. So I'm not quite half, which is nice, which is to say down half. So I've got about 2,000 liters left over here. I may have already used it. Yeah, I think I did. I thought I had another crate over here of yeah. Oh, I never took this out. So I built this over here because I was thinking, yeah, I've got all the fuels over here. I just might as well, throw this in. And I never did. So yeah, I can grind this one down and not use it anymore. This is your distillation tower. So it needs power. Most importantly, it needs crude, which is actually what these tanks are here in the back. Now, as far as I can tell, 5 crude oil tanks will produce 10 tanks of diesel, 1 tank of petrol. I think that's as far as I could tell. So even though those numbers seem a bit wonky, how the heck can you get that much out of the original? Don't know. So there are 6 crude oil tanks or oil tanks over here. There are 4 diesel tanks here, and the reason it's 4 is just holding, because the idea was I'm going to be siphoning off diesel as I go, just to keep the distillation tower running to produce petrol. Okay, so the other thing we did here is this is my crude oil coming up. So the idea was strung it through in the middle, and so you can see it coming around the corner and goes all the way to the end here and then connects in right here. So that feeds the distillation tower, but it also stores. So the idea was I ran that all the way out to this platform here and down, and then it ends up on, oh, can't see it. Let's go down there and look. I don't think we're going to be able to quite see it from up here, but we'll try. Yeah, I think we can. There are some lights up there. So hard to see. There's actually 2 tanks down there. So this side is actually a petrol tank, and the other side is a crude oil tank or oil tank. So the idea was I could technically dock to this platform, hook up and pump petrol and oil up. So I have not done that. So all my oil tanks here are empty, but I have done quite a bit of just by using, bio matter. Getting those tanks as full as I can. Plus, a lot of times when I come in, I will have now you can really see that petrol tank. Kind of hard to see the oil tank still, but it's there. It's just the roundy that's right next to the post, so you can't really see it. It's basically it's in the same position as the petrol tank is. It's hard to see because now you can kind of see it. The pole is round and the tank is round, so anyway, so the idea was I could pump the oil up because I basically own the oil platform now. I've completely cleared it and really reworked it. And if you're watching this video, then you've seen my other videos or seen the availability of my other videos. So I did do a tour of the Black Vein station. It's inaccurate now, by leaps and bounds inaccurate. So I did a whole lot of stuff after I finished that video. So I will have to go back and do a part 2 of that particular video. Anyway, so we got cabling all the way down. Is it still there or did it fall? I only see one going down, which is that doesn't make me very happy. So that's these coming across and down. So one or the other. I think the one on the left was my petrol, and the one on the one on the left here I think was my petrol, and this was my diesel. Sorry, crude oil going down there. Now, there's been a lot of people who have said this, that you can run one hose all the way down and do all of your materials. So I could technically do diesel, oil, and petrol all in one. And again, I don't know if this is a bug or not. Maybe. Don't know. So, but I ran 2 because if it's a bug, they'll eventually fix that. It's kind of cool, but okay. So here was all of these 4 pumps are just run in series. So all of them feed. When this thing really goes, it's only there's nowhere for the water to go. So water is not being used. So this automatically goes into standby, which is nice. Sometimes they do weird things and they don't go into standby and they just continue to run. So, hey, excuse me. Thankfully, all of these pumps have gone into standby because they're not doing anything. So anyway, that's what all these hoses coming down here are. I just figured I could go out and around, but I figured I would just do all of them down here because why not? Keep all the hoses going into the proverbial basement in the same place. So this is my crude oil line, my oil line coming across and down, and this is my petrol line. And then of course the fresh water coming up because the can't really see it, but the water purifier is right there, which comes up. So power down for the pumps and the water purifier, and then fresh water up. And then fresh water goes to the tank here, which is right next to the Saboteur reactor. And off we go. All right, so let's go grab that other. You know what I'm going to do is go ahead and turn this on. So what you see is electricity use, of course. And why isn't that putting out power? I have no idea why it's not putting out power. It should be putting out power. It's the generator. Not doing it. So it might be something weird going on there. So you can see water coming in. You can see CO2 going into the Saboteur reactor. There is no oxygen being produced. So here's one of the things: leave your oxygen, leave at least one of your oxygen things open, because your oxygen will fill up at 4 times what the methane fills up. So if you have 2 of these open, it will just bleed the oxygen out into the air, and it will continue producing methane. So you can see I just have 2 of these connected. When I started out, I had all 4, and once your oxygen tanks were full, then it stopped. So you can see everything happening. We are drawing petrol. So on the good news, this means, so this goes all the way to that platform where there's a tank. So this proves that we are actually drawing from that tank, because that's doing the equalize thing. So on the good news is that proves that this is going all the way. Nice. All right. So we got to get our last human. That I have left at the ramp there. Actually, I guess I left it on the... Yeah, it's still on the slider there. My tram, I don't know what they're calling this. What is it called? Let's see what it's called. What is it called? Yeah, go down. Go down, go up. It's like saying go east, go west. Where does east start and west stop? So we'll just carry this on up. You could go to my right and go upstairs on the other end, or you just go up this ramp. And in my case, I'm just going to go ahead and go up this ramp. So this is the bottom of the launch platform. So this is the bottom deck of the launch platform. And underneath here, there's actually an elevator that goes all the way to the top. Now, hopefully I was smart and still have those gas hoses with me. Check my inventory. No, I do not. I'm not. I probably left those on the ship. So on the one side that sucks, because I don't really want to go all the way back to the ship. On the other side is I need to get those off the ship and on to back into the box. So that may be an OCD moment here. Let me get this over here, and then we'll run back to the ship real quick. Thankfully, it's not far away. Once all the transport mechanisms are working, then at least it's reasonably quick. Oh, I'm working blind. Alright, there we go. Okay, so here's this stairway going down. So that's kind of the good news, is it's right there. So again, this is the diesel one coming forward to the fabricator there. The reason I did that was the fabricator, over there made sense because that's where the fuel is being generated. So it made a certain amount of sense, logic wise, that we have the fabricator right there, and I don't have to string hoses all the way down to the other end. The problem is you end up, because the cylinders themselves take resources, and so you have to have all those resources down there when it's manufacturing those cylinders, those little tanks. You have to have the resources there to manufacture those tanks. So it would be basically, I would have my main material stash in two different places to be able to support that. So it was like, okay, yes, I have to run a hose that far, but I don't have to redistribute my parts. So all of my parts are here, all of my materials are here, which means this would just generate here. So it's really just easier to create enough hose to go all the way to that end and then plumb that in. I did not do that with the petrol. Originally I did. And then I was thinking, okay, I'm never going to produce enough petrol here that this will be a problem. So if I fill up the petrol tanks, which is the goal, then I will have, abundance of diesel, because there's nothing on the platform that uses diesel. So the only thing conceivably I could do is carry it back in crates to the ship, the boat, and then I could use it on the boat instead of, doing the biomatter generator. So that's the biomatter generator has been my prime mover by far, to the point where I wish there's a couple times I've thought, I think I'll put a second one in just to keep up with the diesel demand. Now, here, the good news is they went through and they revamped. They listened to a couple of us. A couple of us were really complaining. If you know anything about diesel engines, the arguably, in my supposition here, is that the diesel engine in the boat here is in the 1200 to 1500 class horsepower diesel engine. That's going to burn about 410 liters an hour at full throttle, at full load. So it's not just about throttle, it's about load on the thing. So the fact that it was burning through 6,000 liters in an hour was like, okay, this you gotta adjust. At some point, reality has to phase into this. All right, so there it is, and we'll throw those there. Okay, what's this guy? It's empty. So this is the perfect place where, if I had oil up there at the platform, deposit all. In this case, it filters out everything that's the non-organics. So you notice I did have some inventory, and you don't see it here because it filters it. So put all that in. The diesel will start. The thing I don't like about both the diesel and the petrol generators is they don't stop. So even if they have filled the tanks, they will continue running and continue consuming biomatter even after the tanks are full. And they're not set up yet to work on, they produce their sound, but they don't go onto the sound bar for the effects. So, unfortunately. All right, so we did what we needed to do here. Although we're gonna be risky. So let me charge myself back up. We'll do a save while we're here just because it's right here. And then we'll roll back and... Oh my goodness, I'm way over time. Sorry about that. We're almost at 2 hours, so we will do the launch, which we're actually almost ready to do. Okay, hopefully we will do the backup without crashing, and then we'll get back out to the launch platform and we'll do the launch. Alright, off we go. Run, run, run. Okay, and I'm going to remember to close the door to keep the critters out. This is full of stuff when you get here. Takes you a little while to clean it out. That's why the flamethrower is your friend. It is quite effective. So you can see the power traveling through the cable, so you know you're connected when you see at least something going through it. So visually, this game is pretty neat. I like the fact that they did all of their graphics like it's real world, not cartoony at all. Like it's something we would see in an industrial area. I really like that. They put a lot of effort into the graphics. The downside is, so on the ship, for example, the pods lock down to the floor, so they can actually deal with an awful lot of abuse, as you saw when we had all 8 of those that were bolted to the floor. They were still bolted to the floor. So even though one of them had knocked over at some point, that may have been on camera or off camera before I started, but one of them was sideways on the floor on the deck, and but the rest of them stayed in all of the shenanigans of the boat doing what it did. They were all right there. So why is an elevator or this tram different? That they're bouncing, things are bouncing, and all of the elevators do that. I found it to be very distressing, because I would, at the starting place, I would load the elevator completely full of crap that I'm taking up, and they're just bouncing all over the place, and so I would lose things off the elevator and it would crash to the bottom, or it would shake enough that it is prevents the elevator from going all the way to the top. I once somewhat pinched a couch in between the platform and the elevator, so the elevator would not move anymore because it was now conflicting with this thing, so it wouldn't go up, wouldn't go down, it wouldn't do anything. So it was frustrating because I wanted that couch, and I eventually had to grind the couch down. Okay, so we go all the way to the top. The reason I put those over there in the corner is so even if they shake and do whatever they do, and you'll see them bouncing too, we'll still get all the way to the top without having any issues. Another bug I've noticed is you reload or you go away and come back, and the door will be a little bit wonky, and we'll show you that when we get to the top there. So, not quite open, not quite closed. So what we have to do is we go out here and we actually do a close and an open, and then it's all back to what it was. So you see I have one in there already. So that was from the previous batch. So I did 4, I can send 3, so that was the extra one. And unfortunately I would have had 2 extras. But that did not work out that way. So we'll put that one over here. So that's 2. And this was 3. So unfortunately we lost those 2 seeds. I will have to come up with a better methodology because I think the floaty thing works. But apparently it does have its problems. Alright. So boom. That's in. So there's 3 capsules in. So I can halt here, go up, close the door, off the platform, and off, which will retract the bridge. And I go over here and we go into the startup sequence. One of the things you notice here, my oxygen is completely full. My methane is completely full, and my electricity is all ready to go. This does not update ever, so this always says attached. The payload is your 3 humans. That will actually update, so it will show you how many there are there, and the doors work. This always shows disconnected. This always shows attached. So eventually, I hope they will correct that. So the good news here is I go startup and I will instantly go to green across the board. So this is the number that will change. So according to how many you got there. Now what that was, strangely enough, the bridge just went back out. So even though this switch is turned off, the bridge is out. So once you do that check, what I tend to come out, I don't know if that's a bug or not, but I turn it on and off again to get it to retry. Okay, down we go. Quite a view from up here, obviously. That's the control room over there. Now the other problem is you see all the lights are off, all the lights are red, which means my link out there again has severed at some point. So what I'm gonna do, I think, darn it. Oh no, that's down here. So I didn't completely screw myself. All right. So I'm gonna jump off the back here, mostly because I can. We're gonna jump onto our petrol tanks. Out and around. We're gonna go up the ramp because I just want to check, make sure it says all the doors are closed. But so this is how I came up with the methane, oxygen, and power all up to this platform. They crisscross here, so that's a little bit of an OCD thing. And then you have this platform here. So this is where these go. So the idea was you take these and you can do your hookups. So all the doors are closed here. So this is your electric on this side. This is your methane. And this is your oxygen. So all the doors are closed. There's your oxygen, your methane door closed. So we have already gone here. All it says is launch sequence is ready to go. So what I have found is at the top, so when this thing lands, it does not have that top capsule. But when you're up there at that platform, you can, I'll call it login. So you interact, and the second you do the systems check, it will res that in, create that for you. It does not appear to cost you anything to do that. It just magically puts another capsule in there. So that is apparently what it is. All right. Oh, sorry. That was the wrong button. All right. So I have all my water line, which I forgot to put away. Oops. All right. And because I forgot to do this before, I'm going to go ahead and do it now. Hopefully this will not be too heavy and won't create too many problems. Yeah, I'm alright. Alright, so we're gonna go over here. There's a ramp that goes down. So here's this side of the tanks. So 6 oil tanks, which hopefully I will eventually get to the point where I'm just gonna deliver oil out to here, and then I can do the production right here. Alright, so this is the control room side, and unfortunately I have to, so I really do need to go up here and look, because I don't know where it's broken. What do I have in my inventory? Nothing, right? Yeah, nothing. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, how many? 17, that's not enough. I'm gonna test the theory. So what I think is happening here, so what I think is I went out to the 20 meters, and the game actually lets you go a bit beyond the 20 meters. There's my plastic, my iron, and copper, and glass, and fabric. Come on. Alright, I'll shut this off. You know what? Actually, I'm so rather than doing this and going over the 2-hour mark, which I really already have, we're gonna run and do the launch. So that way we'll see the launch here. I've already screwed this up pretty royally, so sorry about that for everyone who's like, damn it, you should have stopped at an hour, damn it. Ultimately, I have to figure out what's going on with this. So going down this, at least I can see these lengths and somewhat determine okay, we know that part works. So I don't have a choice, because I need power out there. Damn it, this is frustrating. Alright, so to do this right, I need cable, and I need enough plastic and iron. Crap. Sorry, folks. I was just gonna say, okay, I'll do this later. Unfortunately, if we're gonna do the rocket launch, so I need cable. I don't know if I actually have cable here or not, so we're gonna have to look. I'm hoping there is some cable here. Of course, not the kind of cable I need. So really shouldn't need that much. So we need plastic. So let me do a split and a split. So that'll be enough for 20. We'll do a split and a 5. Put those together, and so we basically have enough for 20 extenders, right? So that's really max what we need. I'm gonna, just for sake of offloading some of these, I was gonna do that, but those were on the ship, so they really need to go back to the ship. Alright, so we have cable now, and we have extenders, or rather we can create extenders. So here's what I'm going to do. All those that are 20 meters, I'm going to back those off to like 18 or 19 meters, and then hopefully that will solve this problem. That's my theory anyway, is that I have gone right to the limit of 20 meters, and so the game loads in, does its check, and says this is more than 20 meters. Blip. So I think this goes to right here. So we're going to follow this one out. So I'm thinking this is... So I'm just going to grab the cable, and that says 19 meters, so that one should be fine. Roll to the end of this one. That says 19. This one's 20, so I'm going to back this one off until it says 19. Extend. So we connect, we'll turn that off. We'll go ahead and so we're going to grab cable, we're going to do a Q and reel it in. We're going to destroy this one here. We're going to kind of restring all of this, and we're going to stop at 19 meters for all of them. So 7 is our grinder dismantle tool. Alright, so the good news, we can hold on to our dismantle tool, and we're going to go ahead and connect, and then we should have some options here. So we're going to watch this and see where it goes. 13, 15. So this says 20. So I want to back off until it says 19. That's a long meter. Alright, 18, 19. Alright, so fabricate. Come over here. E for fabricate, Q to turn it off again, connect, and then same thing here. Grab cable, E, Q to reel in that length. Put on my torch. Alright, and then off we go again. Same thing again. Ooh. Fabricate. Cancel, connect. So grab, reel it in. That one's a short one. I think we'll be okay with this one. So the question at this point is what was causing that particular thing. So, and poof, magically it's working. So why? Makes no sense. Alright, on the good news, we got this here. So these lower lights don't light up anyway, but you can see the interior lights are set up. So we're going to push the call button just to get this here so we can go back across it. And then we'll go up and in. So the one thing, so remember in this room, so you see there's one of the bugs, the octopi up there. Look up. So before you take out all of the stuff, look up. I did not look up, so there's no way for me to get up here unless I build like the four to hold. I could do that. Okay, up to the control room. That is the only way into that space, by the way. Alright, so we're gonna risk it. V and hold. I've been remarkably successful, and now that I've said that, I've jinxed it. So my next save will be a crash. Alright, so we go over here. This is your launch platform, and it's cool because we're at nighttime. So we're logged in here. You see all this stuff is set. We're full green. Launch sequence request launch, which you can only do from here. So T-minus 44. Now, so cleared. I'm going to leave the counter so you can hopefully see it in the bottom corner there. There's some timings off, which you'll see here in just a minute. Or less than a minute, sorry.
20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All engine running. Liftoff. We have liftoff.
So, oops. Oh, with the moon. The moon is really moving. I'm glad they made this with big long windows there so you can see that arc. Alright. And recovery. Minute 20. Off we go. Zoom zoom. Don't forget to look up before you grind everything down. So if you think to look up, this is actually the booster on the way back down. So I've said this before. I did a really short one on the rocket launch, but my second launch. This is my fifth now. Um, the choice of Nessun Dorma was epic. That I don't have any other word for it. That was absolutely an epic choice. I mean, beautiful piece of music, even besides, but putting it in here, that was good. That was good. So I think those two I've done before. So the question is, what's the new one? And that's what gets really confusing after you've done a few rocket launches, is to know where is the one for now. As getting into those is kind of painful if you go over the top. If you're during the day, you just go through the bottom. All right, so rather than trekking all the way back, because I'm already an hour and 20 minutes over, I think we'll cut it here, and I'll pick up once I'm actually on the ship. I'll probably go try and figure out which capsule is the new one and collect all that stuff and do that all off camera. Because there's just no reason to keep going here and make you guys all tired and everything. So this is Kenty Tiger signing off. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.